seminars with regard to social science research, also part of the CSSIEP, that is Center for Social Exclusion, Inclusion and Policy, University of Mysore. Along with that, he has also attended various workshops. He's been part of the ICSSR Research Methodology Workshop that was organized by Department of Economics and Cooperation, University of Mysore. He's also been part of a project that was on financial inclusion in India, issues and challenges, again organized by CSSIEP, University of Mysore. And he has also been part of a workshop on disaster management and first aid, organized by Law Society, Department of Law University, Kashmir, in collaboration with Indian Red Cross Society. That's another feather in his cap. Apart from that, he's also acted as an adjudicator in inter-semester parliamentary debate organized by the Law Society, Department of Law, University of Kashmir. He's been the organizing secretary for a couple of national and international seminars on sensitization of police and media personnel in curbing violence against women on International Women's Day, also on the human rights, with special focus on right to education. He's also presented various papers. A couple of them are on casual causality between education and tourism, also information technology literacy among scholars in University of Kashmir, and he has had various publications for his name. It's a privilege after his comprehensive session on review of literature yesterday. We're here again to have him give us information on various communication techniques. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. We can hear you.
Good morning, sir.
Maybe internet interruption. We lost his connection. We'll wait for a few minutes.
Okay. Sorry, there was some internet issue here. Disconnected. Meantime, can you make me host right now, Sandhya?
Yes, Dr. Yes. So,
Thank you. There is some problem in my this presentation. I'm unable to upload it or present it. Yeah, like yesterday. Okay, the topic that has been given to me is modes of communication or modes of communicating research findings in articles, edited books, theses, and dissertations. No, I just
Yeah, Dr. Riyaz, will it be possible to send it to us? We will play your PPT.
yeah, sure. Give me 1 minute. There's some issue in it. Just give me 1 minute. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. Please just see it. Okay, I got it. Thank you so much. Now this is my topic. The topic that has, is it, am I audible? Is it visible for you people?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now today what has been assigned to me is modes of communicating research findings in articles, edited books, theses, and dissertations. Before I go to these things in detail, I would love to tell you the introductory part of it, that the use and the usefulness of education research from perspective of teachers, school leaders, policy makers, and other end users have to be, communicated in a better. We have to communicate everything, use and usage of all things in a better, so that it will be useful in the future generation or for the future generation. Now, why research communication matters? This is very important question. So far as research, presentation, and all that goes. First of all, the use and usefulness of education research from the perspective of teachers, school leaders, policymakers, and other end users have to be communicated in a better. That is something that we are actually supposed to do. We have to see the usefulness and the usage of what we are actually doing from our perspective as a teacher, as a scholar, as a school leader, as a policy maker. I should know the usefulness of education research. Whatever research I am doing, that I should know. How would I present it? That is a secondary question. But I should know what I actually meant by this. What the question arises here: why research communication matters? It matters. Yes, it matters. It matters a lot. Why it matters? Because it creates a link between researchers and the end user. Now, as a researcher, whatever I am researching, whatever my topic is, whatever I have chosen the topic for that matter, we have seen that in the research methodology itself. You can choose topics, it can be rewritten, something like that. But why research communication matters? It creates, or it links between what? Researchers and end user. End user can be end user can be who's doing it.
We are opening it from our end. Is that fine? This
Yeah,
is what
fine. I was
This is,
all okay. Fine, I'll close down mine.
yeah, this is visible now.
Yeah, fine. The next one, next slide. Next, next. Why research communication matters? It matters because it creates a link between the researchers and end users. End user can be any person who need of an hour. No, a person has done research on a particular topic. Say, for example, we have declining sex ratio in various parts or in India at times or in Jammu. Let us suppose that who needs it? The policymakers need the people who are actually concerned with it. Why it is happening in this part of the world? Why sex ratios decline? Therefore, this research or this communication matters. How will you communicate the same? It is the matter of communicating whatever research you have done as a researcher, as a as a facilitator. It matters a lot. It's not like that you have done some sort of research, you will keep it with yourself only. Unless until you will not make it public, it is of no use. It is like I have a car at my home, I don't use it, I don't drive it, I keep it in my garage. It is of no use unless until I'll use it. I'll show it to the not showing, but driving on the roadside. So next slide, please. Next. Okay. Now, being open to public sphere is central research quality and research ethics. Now, it talks about so many. Next slide, please. Next and next. There is a strong support of viewing research communication as it is an integral part rather than a separate. It's not separate from research. When it comes to communication, be it research paper, be it dissertation, be it PhD thesis, whatever you have, it is like it is an integral part. People think that it is not integral part. It is not integral part. It is a separate. It is separate from research. No, it is not. It is not a research. Communication is not a separate from research. It is what? It is basically an integral part to research. It is integral to the research. Then next, please, next slide. You go. Yeah. First, there is yeah. First, the researcher has a mental image that the real work is over and it is frankly ready to close that chapter, at least for a brief respite. And second, to connect properly with the potential audiences. At the end, it requires that the groundwork to be laid much earlier with the tests of more effective means of communication and revisions. Successful communication, as Fergus rightly said that ETL, all others have just spoken about the same thing. Successful communication of research is not a matter of whipping together a little pamphlet or attending one teacher's conference, but communicating should be seen as an integral element of research itself. It is integral part. We cannot we cannot go away with the research. It is integral for writing or communicating in the research itself. It is basically and fundamentally an integral part of the research. It is not a separate. We cannot separate it. We cannot separate writings in the research or communicating research. It is an integral part. We are not going to detach it. We cannot detach whatever you are testing, whatever you are saying in the your research findings and all that. You have to put that is part of your research. It is integral part. It is base and fundamental part. As we have seen yesterday, I was just talking about the review of literature and all that. You can, if you are going through this integral report writing, or you are writing for this for papers and all that. Next slide, please. Okay, involving direct rather than indirect connection. Involving indirect. Another trap that researchers can fall into is thinking of research communication as predominantly direct, as opposed to mainly indirect process. What has become abundantly clear from studies of research, impact and research used with end users. Now come in and counter through a wide range of mechanisms, many of which are indirect, informal, and mediated. Now sometimes we say it is not direct. Sometimes it is, generally people think that it is a direct thing, connections with your. No, we can fall in this sort of trap. What we are to do is a research qualities. We are supposed to go indirectly. We can go with the indirect process. Suppose I have to go, I have to ask somebody a question. I can not ask him directly. Maybe someone else or by some other person. Okay, what about that person? What is his personality? What's your perception about him? Or sometimes you are researching a very particular topic or thing. You do not know much about it. What you do is you go for the further studies. You consult people, you consult experts, you get expertise, the in the subject while conducting all these seminar. You go to the people and ask them how you do it. Just as madam was, just giving her in her lecture, she was saying, how would you do when your report writing? It is very much related to that. You are not supposed to, keep away from. You cannot go directly to all these things. There are things, there is indirect relation with these things. You're communicating. Your communication skill has to be very, very, strong. You should have a strong base on various things like grammar and all that, as madam has mentioned. Next slide. The existence of important activity space between research production and research utilization. Connecting web. It is that sort, we have like ecosystem is there. We are connecting each other. It's not indirectly we're connecting. I am connecting to A is connected to with B is connected with C. All of us are, it's sort of ecosystem. It's a connecting web. We are connected to each other. The complex range of players who are active in this space, research mediators, evidences, synthesis, evidences, distributors, transformers, they are actually main part of it. They are not directly involved in it. They are mediating. Okay, I am going somewhere in a place where I don't know that language. People will come and help me. The mediators, the translators, they will help me in there. Now they can be this. There are players who can play vital role while writing or communicating all these things. The wide range of ways in which end users can encounter and interact with this research: face to face, print, electronic, and other vehicle for my informal ideas. You can have, you can interact with people. You can research through face to face. You can go for print media. You can go electronic media, other vehicles. A lot of things there. These days, you can go and ask phonically people what they want to say, but you have to communicate that in a proper. Next slide, please. Engagement and learning. It's not dismantling and transfer, along giving research communication as an integral to research process and as a predominantly indirect and mediated in nature. It is also important for researchers to come and communication as a learning type process rather than a transfer type process. It should not be transfer process. Okay, someone else has done it. I will transfer it to others. No, it should be a learning type process. You know, rather than I should, it should be a learning process, not transferring process. As someone has written something, I will try to put it in my things. Okay, it is good in review of literature, not here. There you have to give him acknowledgement and all that. It should be a learning process. This involves thinking about task of making research public as a pedagogy problem rather than a transmission problem. You have to publish this. I said at the outset, unless until you are not, publishing your things, you are not showcasing these things, this research is of no use. It should come to the public. Unless until it will not go to the public or stakeholders, people who are actually involved in it, who your guide, the person who actually, or the experts who actually review your, or who actually, you know give us as in Mysore University, we had two reports, two external experts. They were giving reports for this. So that matters a lot here. That's very important so far as engagement and learning. It is engagement and not learning, dissemination, and transfer. It is not you're transferring something. It is actually learning type. You should come in a learning process. Next, please. Supporting different kinds of research. Very important. Finally, when we say various kinds of, uh, research use we have in our day-to-day life, we can go for the practice, we can be used in policy and practice a helpful. If you have different kinds of research, research can have different uses. I am using it for my PhD thesis or master degree thesis or post graduation thesis, whatever you have. But at the same point of time, it will be having different kinds of usage. You are supporting it. Others will get support from your thesis. They will say, okay, right now we have COVID. Someone has said that this thing is beneficial for COVID. He or she, that very institution has worked hard for that particular thing. Now it is useful for us. This is what research has to be. It has to be people oriented. It should help society by and large. Next slide, please. Now, these types of summarized by Estabrooksinthe in the following way. What he says now, instrumental research use, which implies a concentrate application of research, where research has often been translated into a material or usable form and is used to direct specific decisions or interventions. Now, if you are, summarizing anything, you are, you know, doing any research or you have done it, it will imply concentration, application of research. Application part of that research is the conceptual research use, where research may change one's thinking, but not necessarily one's particular action. Maybe my, thinking may change. Suppose that a person who is a smoker, his thinking may change. Okay, cigarette smoking is injurious to health. It may cause death to person and other things. Suppose that his thinking has changed, but his action has not changed. He's still taking, you know, research. He's still taking the cigarette. He's smoking cigarettes. In this way, we say that in this kind of research, utilization research informs enlightened decision. It enlightens just just for the sake of formality. It has changed thinking, not necessarily one's particular action. कोई particular action would change. It doesn't change that, which involves use of research as a, third point is strategic or symbolic research use, which involves the use of research as pervasive or political tool to legitimate position. Sometimes what happens, people use researchers in order to pursue or in order to pressurize or impress people. A public figure is there, a political tower towering political personality in a country or in a state for that. Now, what you do as a person, that person will do research, that sort of research, so that it will be beneficial. That is also one of the things that it can be, it can be instrumental at times for these people. It can be symbolic, people. Okay, that very particular politician, he has, you know, he has in his tenure as an MP or MLA for that matter, he has constructed hundreds of dams. He has built up a lot of roads, a lot of connectivity. He has done a lot of work, social work for his, you know, for his constituency. For that. Next slide. Yo, what effective research communication involves? It involves, now that is very important so far as this is concerned. We know what it can be. It can be direct, indirect. But what effective research communication involves? It involves so many things. Knowing your audience. Now you should know what type of audience you are. Actually, you are, you know. Next slide, please. Knowing, be specific as possible as intended audiences. Think across traditional categorization of end users, understand the interests and needs of the intended audiences. Now you have to be knowing your audience. That is very important. If you know your audiences, okay, I am going to have research on particular thing. Let us suppose that these smokers, cigarette smokers. Let us take those as audiences. My audience will be a cigarette smoker. How would I, whatever I whatever I propose, whatever I get, that has to be maintained there. I should know what type of audiences I have. Next slide, please. Identifying key message. Now, what sort of message you are delivering to them, whether it is upside down or it goes, whether it's a positive message. You have both sides of same thing, positive framework as well as negative framework for the same thing. You tell them, okay, you are doing this thing, it is not good for your, you know, you can identify all these key messages. Next is third one for the same, tailoring outputs. Now, whatever you are having outputs, carefully thinking about the audience for and the context of research. Research communication needs to be matched, equally sophisticated consideration for the communication vehicle that will be used. The traditional medium for research communication has been has been the written journal articles, books, research reports. This is now widespread. There is now widespread recognition that some outputs are insufficient in and themselves for communication with the audiences beyond other academic research. Studies of research impact a lot of your now tailoring outputs. What sort of outputs you consider? You are carefully thinking about your audiences. Now these days everything is online. You have books, you have articles, you have written journals. A lot of things are there. How would you go with this? You have to have a proper approach for this. That is in the methodology itself. You must have heard about research methodology. You might have gone through all the things before preparing all this. You should know what would be all my output when you frame a questionnaire, or when you frame a hypothesis, or when you set some hypothesis or objectives for that. Next slide, please. Ever increasing range of possibilities for presenting and sharing. Now, uh, this is about researchers meeting the needs of their target audiences by developing outputs like varied, interactive, usable, timely. Now, these are very important things. Varied, interactive, usable, timely. So all these things come, one should, target audiences, timely. Suppose that we are we are in lockdown, so SOPs we have to follow. Immediately they will go for this varied, interactive, usable, timely. Now, it should come within the time period, so it should not come after. You will frame SOPs. We are not going to frame SOPs after COVID is over. We have framed it while COVID is there. They have followed it. Okay, you stay at home, keep distance, wear mask, use sanitizers, use hand wash. So these are varied, interactive, usable, and timely. At the, we need it. It is need of an hour. You know, all these things. This is need of hour. If you go for wearing mask, it is need of an hour. Maintaining social distancing. That is also, you're following us proper. Either it is in your at your home, also there also you are actually not going outside your home. Whenever you have very important job work to do, you'll go, otherwise you'll not. You have whatever research has been done, people have worked very hard on this. It's not that now they are giving us do's and do nots. Don't leave your home unnecessarily. Don't come out of your home unnecessarily. These are do nots. Stay at home. This is do. Do what you have to do. Do stay at home. Use hand sanitizers. Boost your immunity and all those. Go for vaccination and all that. Next slide, please. Supporting uptake and use. So far as this section has explained how research communication needs to be informed by noted understanding of target audiences based on clearly articulated needs. So just like what I have earlier said, that you are supporting uptake and use. You are actually taking your audience into confidence, into you know you are actually targeting a particular audience. Let us say, for example, these days we are audiences. We are we are final audiences, final end users. Will say, okay, what are the precautions we have to take in this COVID pandemic situation? Next slide, please. There are some simple strategies that research teams can fairly easily work into their communication practice in order to promote undertaking, telling key audiences about the outputs well before completion. Now, key audiences, who is key audience in research? Now we'll come together, close to our research, our own research. Who is our close audience? Who is our close audience? It is before completing. We have to show everything to our guide. Now, who is there? There are other teachers also. You can show them. Linking the output to well-known to- topical issues or initiatives, whatever initiatives. Timing the distribution of outputs carefully for target audience. Now, all these things have to be taken into consideration. Emphasis how and why outputs could help end users. Now, you should know what getting support for outputs from respected opinions of foremost. The people closest to you, you should get their what you call it, their support. Whatever you have your opinions. You should also get their support and their view as well. Now, how and when, sorry, how and why output could help end users. You should emphasize that. Okay, when you leave outside home, suppose when you leave outside home, you should wear gloves, you should wear proper mask, you should come with proper SOP. Now, this is something you should tell them. Okay, at home, don't use, you are not supposed to use mask. If you are going to hospital, wear a PPE kit and all that. These are the things. Suppose this person has got is COVID positive. What are the precautions he should take? He'll get medicine and all. Don't meet people for 14, 15 days. Okay, now this is this is not happening. The last point here in this slide, publishing outputs via relevant networks and social media. Now, we are not doing it here in India. In other parts of the world, they're using social media, whatever research they are doing. Now, it depends again on the research type of research you're doing, whether you're doing, you're communicating your, you have to show your findings. Okay, we have found this. Now, recently, and this has happened. Okay, you should, I mean, the new trend is this. It is a airborne. It's not airborne. It happens with about COVID. I am saying this. So a lot of things will happen. In between, new things will come. They will share it very quickly in social media. It depends. No, you cannot, as a research scholar, as a PhD scholar, you cannot put your work like that. Yes, you have repositories in your universities, in your respective, every university has its own repository. So there you can upload that after you complete your PhD, not before that. Okay? But there are researchers like you are supposed to take people in confidence. You need to give them, even if it is a little information, or even if it is a relevant relevant to that particular thing. Suppose this pandemic, somebody will come up with some sort of medicine. Okay, this is a homemade medicine. We know that turmeric, haldi, we call it in Hindi haldi. We put that in, in milk. We drink that. That is very, that is an immune booster. It's a homemade. They will say you, okay, you drink milk, but you put some turmeric on this powder on it, so that it will boost your immunity more. So these sort of things will come in different relevant networks like social media and all that, electronic print media. It will come. We have daily papers here, newspapers in my locality. They give a lot of things. Sometimes you have write-ups, sometimes you get from Facebook and Twitter and all those things. You get these things, but not the research. There are other platforms for that, just like your research get and all that. Next, please. Okay, uh, 5 tips for communicating your research. Very important so far as research is concerned. Your consider when while you are communicating your research, you're supposed to consider your audience. You have to consider your audience. Suppose as a producer, I am producing a commodity. Producing woolen clothes, using woolen clothes. Now woolen clothes will be used in this part of our Kashmir or other parts where we have winter. So I have to see, you know, what type of audiences I have, what type of people I'm going to, I have to engage with the people, what sort of people those will be. Simplify your language. Language should be as simple as you can. Try to simple, keep things simple. Keep your language very, very simple while writing reports. Or that madam has already said. Then present your work, share your research in various ways. Now, various ways can be, it depends again on the research, what type of research you are doing. Suppose you are doing master degree, you can share it. Even you cannot share it with your friends. They may copy sometimes. There, things may happen like that. They may go for, my friend has done some work, he'll show it to me. I'll present it before. It it belongs to me then. He cannot prove that it was his work. So all these things have to be there. But it depends again what type of research you are doing. Keep being creative. You have to be creative. Okay, one person has reached to a point, say for example, he has completed this sort of research. No, I'll go beyond him. Yesterday I was just saying how you do go for review of literature. That will be based for the other things. Previous one, please. The last, but two, before last two, 23rd slide, 23rd, previous, yeah, next. Okay, fine. Now, keep being creative. You have to be creative. Your creativity has to be at its best. In economics, we call it innovative, but here you have to be creative. Creativity actually brings in new ideas. New ideas will come there. If you are creative, you're you're ready to change things. You are going to give more outputs to the country or the society as a person as a researcher. You have to be innovative. You have to be proactive. Okay, this thing is happening. Why shouldn't I do it like this? Now, I'll come to the this part. What you call it, the how would you do it? I'll show you there. You'll see that it's changing. APA style is changing and others are changing. Next slide, please. Only one. If it is a journal, suppose that now we are you are supposed to take it from one book, one you have one author book, one author is there. Suppose it is Riyaz Ahmad Bhatt. This is my name. Bhatt is my surname. Then I'll put comma or full stop, a full stop, year of publishing. Then Journal of Social Science, it should be it if it is a journal, it should be in italic. 5 is actually volume, and 5 is volume, and this 1, 5, this is Roman 1, this is issue. Then comma 120 to 130. These are page numbers. If it is only one page, say for example it is 120, we'll put 120 comma DOA, digital object indexer. This is something that is written these days. This is also written there. Even if it is for the books also, or sometimes you have URL for two authors. What you do is, now this is something I have put in a model sort of that. But comma Riyaz, instead of Riyaz I have put or dot a year of publication. Now there are the new trends are there in APA Star, the 7th edition. They won't put year of publication in brackets. They will simply write it full stop 2020 full stop, then journal name, then volume and others. Now, if it happens to, we have more than two authors. Again, Riyaz Ahmad Bhatt and Ali Muhammad Khan, these are two authors. Riyaz, comma, A dot, again. Then you have appresent. Appresent, that is, and this is known as appresent. You put Khan, his surname, Khan, comma, A dot, L dot. Again, you are not supposed to write it 2020. You can write either way. in brackets or without. Then journal, the same, other things will go the same. So this is for 2. Next slide, please. Okay, this is for book. For book, we are supposed to write so many things. Journal, it was okay. Previous slide, please. In previous slide, we have seen that if these are 2 authors, now what we are supposed to write in the book. In book, we have authors, year of publications in brackets. There you put in brackets edition number, that is there written, place of publication, you have to write it, then publisher's name. It was not mandatory in this publisher's name. Just you give Journal of Social Science. Who has published it, we are not supposed to write. But in books, you are supposed to write. Next slide, please. Okay, like Kohler, it is A Kohler, comma A dot 2008, the world of tourism and travel. Roadsea, New Zealand. It's Pearson Education, New Zealand. Just simply you have to write. Now these days there are books. They give you these things. They give you D DIO number that I have already. DOI. It is Digital Object Index File. Now this is something that you have to remember. Yesterday I told you about the books. There is a site you can write DOAB, DOAB, Directory of Open Access Books. You can write that, or you can get number of books. Open text books. These are 2 main sources. You can get any sort of material in this platform, in this sort of. So from dissertations, you have edited books, you have there are good number of things for this. Now APA generally changes with passage of time in 3-4 years. You can have that PDF of the same in the latest version is 7th one, that is recently. There are slight changes. You can use 6th edition, 7th edition. But whenever you are using any particular, you know, uh, APA style or any style, whichever your university provides or prescribes for that matter. So you are supposed to take that only. Uniformity has to be there. It is not like that. Okay, for book I am using APA. For journal I will use some other, MLA or something, Chicago and others. No, I am supposed to write it in a APA style. Everything has to be in a proper maintenance. Okay, this last slide and the next slide, please. Okay, thank you. I think there are other things relevant to this. It was related to the previous topic. Ma'am has given you very insightful topic. That was the report writing. A lot of things have been covered. Then you have to. It's your a guide. It's your university which prescribes the department particular. Suppose I am using APA style. Other universities are using some other.
Yeah, the session is open for discussion now.
Yeah.
You can go for. Yes, ma'am. Sulu ma'am, if you have any questions, you can ask.
Yeah, I was looking out for findings in the last chapter of a PhD chapter, how the findings should emerge in the last chapter of the PhD. But sir was telling how the findings already done in our research should be communicated to the targeted group in various ways. That's what I grasped.
No, ma'am. Actually, I said it depends on nature of the study. If I'm doing PhD, I cannot show it to the everybody beforehand.
Yeah.
I have to show it to my guide, that person, or co-guide for that matter. It's not like that I'm a research scholar here. I'm doing PhD under some person, professor, or in a department, in a particular department. I'll show it to him. He is my concern. But I have given example of COVID right now. If somebody finds a very interesting or very important thing, very important medicine that will cure this COVID or that can save people from,
Hmm.
they have to they have to show it
Yeah.
to
Oh,
others.
understood, sir.
Got it? Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
So that way it should be timely and all that.
Yeah, that's what I said, timely, and it should be
Hmm.
it's not like the people will start thinking today. We need it today, not
Yeah.
next year. Maybe with the grace of Almighty, we may not have this COVID next year. We don't need all these things, but we have to study it. But then it depends on the type of research you're doing, for whom
Oh,
you're doing this research. For PhD, you cannot even share it before publishing or before getting award. It's prohibited. It is totally prohibited. I cannot show it, my thesis, my part of my thesis given to my close friend for that. There are things, ma'am. I have already said that,
yeah.
it
Okay.
depends on the nature of.
And so this is just out of interest, I'm asking you, sir.
Yeah.
Should the research done, by a person should we integrate it to his personality? Like any research can be done for the sheer purpose of knowledge, out of academic interest. Is it proper to what is that? Coordinate what the person has preached and practiced, is practicing?
See, ma'am, well, as a research scholar, I know a lot of things about Kashmir's post. I am researching
Yeah.
on this. I have taken Srinagar and Badgaum as my, areas. I have
Hmm.
collected data from two districts. Okay. Before that, I knew a lot of things. I'm not supposed to write that unless
Yeah.
until I have a proof. I have to have a documentary proof. If I am not having any documentary proof, I am not going to put that. How would I write? Okay, I will say that person he is having B positive. He has told me, but I need to have documentary proof.
Hmm.
That's very important. It's not like uh, my personal experience is something, and research may say something else. Okay, people may say that in Kashmir we have, it is a better season than December, January, February. Now, once you come here today, we had little bit. It was little bit cold. Like in Mysore, we have in December. It was today itself. Yesterday, it was very hot. So in May, you may see different things. What but I have data with this. I have to.
Hmm.
Everything should be backed up with the documentation, documentary proof. Otherwise, it's of no use.
Again, sir, when you say that our research findings should be timely published and all that, sometimes it can be misused also. Misused by the journalists, the media, or some groups for their own advantage. No,
Well, well,
there
ma'am,
is a possibility of that also.
the, ma'am, see, ma'am, I am doing it for sake of society. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
my what my conscience says, my belief says that I should help society. If I know a little bit of, suppose, let's take COVID only because everybody is. No, I am talking about COVID. I have got some news on COVID, or I have, or some researcher has, maybe someone will come and misuse it. That is
Yeah.
not my fault. That's not
Yeah.
my fault. That is, people here. I have seen, videos, lot of videos. People are carrying their dead bodies. They're young. Yesterday I saw a video. 11-year daughter was, father was carrying 11-year daughter in Chennai.
Yeah.
So that's very pathetic. You cannot say, yes, government has done a lot of things for the people. There are people who are misusing these. You have ICDs. They are providing midday meals to the people, poor people. But there are people who are not providing this. Everybody is not same. You have 5 fingers. They are not same. One is small, one is big. Same applies with the people. Okay, people have ill minds. They have cruel intentions. Whatever they have, people see from their own prison. Whatever I have to see, a research, as somebody has done research, I can misuse it. Of course, there are people, they go for this, they don't know, the value of that research. A person has, they will use it for their own benefit and for their own purpose. It depends, it varies from person. If we say matchstick is used in, houses to let the, gas and all that gas. People use, they smoke with the same thing. They can, it's same match. We buy it from the same shopkeeper. So these are the things that happens, ma'am.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, ma'am.
Okay, if there are any other question? Okay, if no, yeah,
Dr. Sandhya,
yes,
yeah, in chat box I have given books, DOAB. It's
yes, sir.
Directory of Open Access Books. You
Yes,
please,
sir.
then next is open textbooks. You can get any book in, particular subject, in particular topics as well. These are the biggest, and they allow it, freely. There is no
Okay, sir.
legal binding.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Please, all the participants make note of it and utilize for your convenience for the future reference. Now I call upon Nishita Krishnaswamy to propose vote of thanks.
Yeah. This session on modes of communicating research findings was very well taken forward by Dr. Riyaz Ahmad. Sir, we really thank you. On behalf of all the participants in Department of Studies in Social Work, University of Mysore, I extend sincere and humble gratitude to you for this session. Thank you very much, sir. You've given us enough clarity, especially with regard to communicating our research findings in a very responsible way and also in a way that is very effective and efficient with regard to contributing to the field of knowledge. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to a beautiful place, Mysore. I'm thankful to you people, Dr. Sandhya particularly, and all the participants. You have been so patient. I've seen the earlier presentations also. It's so nice. It was nice to be with you. I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for inviting. Thank you, one and all. I may leave now, Sandhya, Dr. Sandhya.
Yes, sir.